Okay, let's get our lights in. Now at the moment, if I go here, it says use default lights. If I turn that off, or I use all lights, you'll see it will go off because we've got no lights in the scene. So I tend to start off by putting no lights in the scene and turning use all lights off. Now if you come up here and you're under polygons, you'll see that you've got some different light sources that you can add. Now the first one I'm going to add is going to be a directional light, and I'm just going to drop that in there, and you can see it's lit. Now it's lit some of the background up, and it's lit the front face of the Jiva Dental, which means it's pointing backwards on the Z. So if I now, you can see it, the little tools come up here. If I now click the move tool, I can actually move this light up, and you can't see it, so I'm going to scale it just so it's a bit bigger. Now you can see the direction it's pointing. Do you see that? It's pointing straight up. If we use our rotation tools here, we can actually start to change it, and it doesn't matter where the light is, it'll always do it in a straight line. You know, I could even take this and take it under the ground and it would still light it. So what I want is, I want it to be kind of front facing like that. So I'm just going to move it out the way a little bit now so we can see it. I'm going to turn the intensity down. You'll see that you've got some directional light options here. I'm going to turn the intensity down a little bit because I'm going to be using other lights. This is just basically a front kind of fill light. And under shadows, I'm going to make sure all my shadows are off, which they are under shadows. We'll be using these ray trace shadows. But if I do a quick render of this now, you'll see there's no shadows, but it's lit. So let's do a render of that, and there we go. So you can't see any shadows really. I mean, bit shadows here, but no shadows on the ground or anything. So you can see that it's lighting it nicely, that side. Right, now I'm going to use maybe a spotlight just to sort of demo it to you. So I'm going to click the spotlight, and I'm going to bring that up. I'm going to press R on the keyboard to go to scale, which is over here. Let's scale this up. We can see the direction then. I'm going to use the W key now, and you can see what's happening. This is a spotlight, so it's lit this area up. Now also, what is a cool thing to do with this spotlight selected, I can look through it. So I can go to where is it, show panels, and then look through selected. So as you can see, the spotlight's there. Now if I do a render of it now, just to show you, just drop the spotlight in, you can see that there's a spotlight in there, but again, we've got no shadows. The spotlight's very, very sharp, as you can see. So what can we do to fix this? Well, we can set up some penumbra angles and drop off. So if you make sure that you're on the spotlight and you come over to here to penumbra angle, you can actually start to increase this and increase, more importantly, the drop off. Now, do you notice that on the visual here, if I just zoom in, it's getting softer? So it's creating that soft. And if we start to change that penumbra angle, it starts altering it a bit more. So I can also set the cone angle to make it a bit bigger, so there's more drop off. So we get it how we want it, and I say, okay, let's have a look at that as a render now. And yeah, we've got it going softer. It's picking up there because that's just a highlight, yeah. So, but the actual drop off is much better now than we had before. So what we can do is, I'm going to press the E on the keyboard just to go into rotation. I'm going to rotate this because what I want to do is I want to create a sort of soft shadow, or sorry, I want to create some sort of side lights. So I'm going to move this light along here, and I'm actually going to look through it. So I'm going to go show to panels and look through selected. Now the same as we did before, and you can see it coming across, and this will just give it a little bit more well, it will just make it look a bit more interesting with lights hitting here and the other side. So I'm going to go back to show to panels and back to perspective, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to duplicate this light. I'm going to move this light back so we've got a bit more light hitting here. I'm going to turn the intensity down just a touch, okay, probably 0.5 will be good. Now I'm going to press Control D with this selected, Control D on the keyboard, and this will duplicate this light, or it should. Hold on. There we go. So we've got a duplicated light, which I will move over here. We can also use this manipulator tool to actually create a second point that we can point. So it follows this second point around using the manipulation tool there. So that's all good. So that's hitting it. That's looking nice. We've got the front one there. I might just increase the intensity of that very, very slightly, maybe to 0.8. That's good. And finally, we need to have a shadow light. So to create the shadow light, and I want an even shadow light coming down, I'm going to use a directional light, because as we said before, a directional light just throws light out in one direction. It's not from a point, not like the spotlights. It throws it out at everything at this angle. So I could actually duplicate this. I'm going to press Control D to duplicate this light. And now you'll see I'm going to use the manipulator tool now. And what we can do is we can actually put it on it and start to move these around. Now I know I need to bring the intensity down a little bit with this, and I need to make sure that it's facing nicely down, something like this. That's quite good. And now what I want to do is I want to create my shadows. So I'm going to do a final render of this, and my shadow is going to be created by this new light we created. So I'm going to hit the render, and that looks good, the intensity and stuff. So now I'm going to go down to, I'm going to make sure that light's selected yet, the shadow light that I want selected. I'm going to go down to ray traced shadows. I'm going to put light angle in at 1, and I'm going to put this at about 4, and the ray depth to about 2. Now let's do a render and see what happens. So do you notice, do you see here? These shadows are now appearing. They're being knocked back a little bit because of the lights from the side, but they are there. So what we can do is we can change the light angle a bit. And I'm just rendering on the other screen just to sort of show you, okay, light angle's too much that side. So I'm going to bring this down to about 18, and we'll render again. And look at it now, you can see it's softened, that shadow. Let's just show you. Let's take this light angle down to 0, do a render. See this, really blocky? As soon as I increase this angle to roughly about 9, something like that, then you get this soft. But if you look closely on this, it's quite pixelated. So to get rid of the pixelation, we can crank this up to maybe 8, ray depth to 4, half of the shadow rays, and we'll do another render. Now the problem with this is it does take longer to render the more shadow rays you put in, but you can see it's looking a lot better than it was before. So not quite as good as I want it to be, so I'm going to put this in at 16. Okay, I'm going to leave ray depth at 4 just to see if I can get away with it. And yeah, that looks quite clean. I might increase this a little bit. Let's just do a save of that image and just do another one out. Okay, so yeah, looking a bit cleaner. So you can increase the shadow rays. That's enough for what I need it to do. So yeah, that looks good. We've still got this problem with the back going a bit strange. And because it's doing that at the back, it's acting a bit weird. I'm actually just going to go in and create a curve, a proper curve. So I'm going to delete this piece out. I'm going to come into this here, this cylinder, and I'm going to blow it up. So I'm using the move tool. I'm using E on the keyboard, sorry, R on the keyboard to scale it. And I'm going to increase this. I want it to be nice and smooth. So I'm actually going to put the subdivision levels here at about 50. Okay, that's good. I'm going to now come to a top view. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete most of it. So I'm going to right hand click, go to faces. I'm going to click through here, delete these faces out, and I'm actually going to come along to here and delete them out. That will leave me with just a sort of side piece. I can delete the top out, so I'm going to select those, and I can select those, delete those out. Now I've got a nice curve on that without actually having to do any work. So I'm going to use the rotation now, and I want to just actually, before I do that, I want to go into edit and then delete all by type history. Okay, now in this cylinder I want to rotate this 90 degrees. So if we look under here, I can put this at 90 in here, and it will put it nice and flat like that. I'm going to use the W key just to move out, and now I'm going to select the vertexes here and drag those forwards. Now that's good. And now I'm going to just scale it this way, and again use the W key just to move this back. And finally I want to make this piece here, so I'm selecting these end pieces. I'm just going to drag them up, so that'll give me a nice sort of curved backdrop. And the final thing I need to do is just to put it onto the grid, so I'm just going to put it there like that, and we need to put it into that material. So I'm going to go to our windows, I'm going to go to rendering, hypershade, and I'm going to go, I've just got this selected, I'm going to right hand click on the material and assign it. Now if you don't see anything, it might mean that your normals are reversed, so I might need to just put them, I'm just going to check it with this one. Okay, very odd. Normals, I'm just going to reverse them. Oh, that's better. Yeah, so I needed to reverse those normals. So now I can put it into the correct color. So I'm hoping now that should give me a better curve. I might need to, I can already see it. It's better, but I'm going to use the scale key just to scale this in. And I'm actually going to scale this right out just to make that back just more curved. So that's getting pretty big now. And also it's quite far away. If you get this problem happening here, it's the clipping path. It's the clipping on the camera. So you can that's why I like doing these videos where I'm on the go, because you can see what's going on. So if you've got this kind of thing happening and you say, right, that's happening on the perspective camera, you click the perspective camera, come into the shape, and where you've got this far clip plane, I'm just going to put another 0 in there, and now you can see, so it's actually clipping because of the distance from it. So let's put that into position now. I'm actually going to move my pivot point, so I'm going to press the insert key just so that I've got it near the model. Press insert again. I'm going to zoom back into this model now and just put it into here. That's pretty good. All right, so that should be a bit better now. Just need to increase this out a bit. Good. And let's do a render of this. That should be a smoother transition up. Yeah, so it is now. But we've got this, you know, I like this reflection, but I think it's a bit too much. So I'm going to adjust the reflection. I'm going to select the material. We're just going to go into edit and delete history again on this material. So I'm going to go into this material here, and where we've got reflectivity, I'm going to turn this right down. So you're going to notice a difference straight away when I render this. There's going to be hardly any. There you go. There you go. So you can't see any or much. A little bit of the reflection, but not too much. So let's just move this down slightly more. I want a little bit of a gap so the shadow picks up a bit better. Let's do another render there. Okay, it was off the ground. Actually, that looks better. So that's good. I like that. And we got this nice little line that's going through. So I'm happy with this render. I want to view it at the actual size, real size, which is there. We need to up all our render settings now. So I'm going to go to render settings, and I want to go to quality, and we've got it in draft. I'm going to go now to production, and you're going to notice a big difference in time render and quality. So I've set it on the production quality. We're going to put it back here, and we're going to render. It's going to take longer now, but it's going to be a better quality. And there you have it. So there's your logo. So this course is I'm not too far off finishing. You know, I can add more reflections and stuff like that if I wanted to, but or I could add some sort of lighting to this as well, some sort of image maps to this, but I'm not going to. This is just a basic how to create these kind of logos. This is custom lettering, how to create this custom lettering, and how to do a basic render. And you'll notice inside of Outliner, which you can get to via Windows Outliner, that it gives you where your spotlights are, and I always suggest that you try and keep all this stuff organized. So this is the ground, so I'm just going to name it ground, hit enter, and then I can middle mouse click and drag it so that it's in with the logo, so it's all one piece. Yeah. And of course I've got my lights, so if I wanted to I could group these lights and call them lights. Just keeps everything nice and clean, and when you're happy you can render that out then. So what we're going to look at in the next lesson is actually setting up a little bit of animation, rendering out the frames. I'm not going to do render layers or render passes in this video. This is just going to be as you see it out of the renderer, so you can see what's happening. My other courses, I will be doing more advanced stuff on render passes and stuff later, but that's a big lesson to go through. So this is just basically to show you how to create the logos and how to do a basic render out. If you want to learn more, check out my other courses and you can find out a lot more about rendering inside of Maya. Okay, so next lesson, bit of animation, output, and then we're done.